This is my week 15 coding assignment, a Crud app using React with functioning components. To begin with, this is my add house component. It's responsible for creating a form to add a new house. It consists of the add house component itself with a prop, which is a function that will be called when the form is submitted. I have two state variables, which are house name and price, and I use the state as empty so it can be updated later. Then I have the handle submit, which is what's responsible for handling the forms after it's submitted. It basically checks if the fields are filled in to prevent a what was that called again? Validation error, I believe I was getting. And then the onAdd function is called with the object house name and price, and it resets the state. Then returns my form, and it updates on the event listener, the on change, and it sets the values to the updated value from the input. Then it's the app component, the main one. It has a one state variable with the state set to 3 hard-coded houses, and then it's the add new house state, which obviously updates the state of the new houses and being added. And then the delete function, which pretty much updates and deletes, and the same with the edit house function. Then it basically renders the form for adding a new house and the house button. As well as the add house and the house list components. Then moving on is my house component. It takes 3 props, house, on delete, and on update, which on delete and update are 2 functions. And it has 2 state variables. I set it to false because it needs to be true to run the handle submit. So then we move on to the handle change. It's used to update the state of the components form data when there's a change in the input field. It takes an event object as its parameter, and it holds the info about the info changed. Then e.target retrieves the name of the input field and the value retrieved, and it retrieves it, and then the target dot value wait, what? Oh, and this one retrieves a new value. Okay, so and then we have the handle submit, which handles what to do with the form when it's submitted. It calls the functions of the editing state if the editing state is true, from above here. And then we have the the form itself, with the above functions being passed in, and it will be called whenever the user types anything in the fields. And the buttons themselves. And moving on, we have my house form, which basically is the form for submitting a house. It contains the same handle submit or similar handle function to handle the form submission. It's the same thing here. It checks whether things are the fields are filled in. If not, it returns an error. And then a new house is created with the address and price, and the new house variable holds the info of these created new house, and then passed to the on add function from earlier as a prop. That was passed as a prop. Yeah. Then resets it back to empty, and the form itself. Then I have the house item, which is it renders the address price of the house. I need to change that. The name. So I was working on this for a while. The name and the price of the house object that was passed in as a prop. And it also renders the two buttons, the main, delete, and edit. And yeah. And then I have my house list, which is basically renders a list of the house components, and the house is added, and it sets up state variables to track which house is currently being edited in the editing ID function, and the data of the edited house from the edit form date function. It allows the component to manage the editing functionality for each house in the list. And these are my functions, pretty similar to the ones we had earlier. And it returns houses in a grid bootstrap grid. And that pretty much wraps up my Crud application. Yeah. I forgot to add the demo in the last part, so here it is. And then delete function, delete, and edit. And that's pretty much it.